Hey everybody, welcome to the RR Live Wellness Unfiltered podcast. My name is Robert Reams, the host and the producer of the show, and as always, I'm here to inform and inspire you, to educate you, and to motivate you so that you can take this information, put it to work in your lives, share it with your loved ones and your families. I've come a long way to have this opportunity to sit in front of you today. Let's go. Hey everybody, welcome to the RR Live Wellness Unfiltered podcast. My name is Robert Reams, the host and the producer of the show. And as always, I'm here to inform and inspire you and to motivate and educate you so you can take this information and put it to work in your lives and share it with your loved ones and your families. Now today it's a special show because literally like 8 or 9 weeks ago, I sat right here in this chair in this studio, and I had on the podcast a gentleman by the name of David Smith, who we are going to talk about today and honor. David Smith passed away on September 11th, right, Jen?
Yes, September 11th.
Yeah, he passed away on September 11th, and it's just mind-boggling to me because we had done this show. He and I made the decision to do it. We decided together, and it was time, and it was great, and we did it, and it was so fantastic. And I literally had a conversation that Monday night before that Wednesday morning with him, and connected with him on Instagram the day before. And then, Jen, when I saw your Facebook post on Wednesday, I was just like, wow. It blew me away, and I know it blew you guys away too. And it was just like, it was sudden. It was just out there, just out of the blue. And I'm sure you guys, there's got to be just like, you think about, like, I know that sometimes I'll reach to the phone, especially when I'm by the grill, because I always used to talk to David when I was at the grill, when I was grilling something. And I'd go to my phone and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. And I can't talk to David now. And so David was such an amazing person and an amazing man and just an amazing dude.
Yes.
He was just a great guy. And I will say this about David before I forget to say this, because this is something I really, really want people to know. And the people that know him know this, is that David did not have one inkling of hate in him. He was such a loving soul. We talk about goodness. He was the epitome of goodness. I literally never heard him say anything bad about anybody.
No.
And we had a lot of conversations, hundreds of conversations since we met. And we all met, myself, David, Jen, David Sr., your dad, we all met through the Dr. Phil show in January of 2020. And that's when we started. And I got to come out to the house there in Gilbert and work with you guys and work virtually. And we created this great relationship, and this, it was a friendship and a working relationship. And it's really great. And so I wanted to take today, because I think it's really important to honor David and honor his life as not just this guy, because the people think, well, he's just this big guy that struggled with his weight all the time and he went through all these health issues. Yeah, he did. That was part of him, but that wasn't who he was. Mm-hmm. He was, like I said, just a really great person with a great soul, and touched a lot of lives, as you know, Jen. So I thought today, like, who else better to have you on, because you grew up with David. He's your big brother.
Oh yeah.
And you know him, and you got to see so much of his life growing up. And so I just think it's really important, and it would be really cool to have everybody have a show or a place to go to say, wow, what was David's life about? What was he like growing up? What are some really cool things that happened in his life? What made him who he was today, right up until the time of his passing. And
Right.
before I forget to mention this, at the end of the show, or towards the end, I'm going to read a little excerpt of this wonderful, beautiful obituary that you wrote. I'm going to read a couple excerpts of it that I hope I can get through it, because it's, I mean, when I was just practicing reading it, I was just like, wow, this is it's emotional. So,
Yeah.
so let's start back when you guys were little kids, Jen. You guys were little kids. How David was how much older than you?
He was like about 4 years older than me, 4 or 5. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So pretty relatively close. Not
Yeah.
super. No, it wasn't like 10 or 15. It was like
No,
right
it
4 or
wasn't.
5. Yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
No.
And so like if you were to characterize, or if you were going to describe David as a kid, just as a kid, how would you describe him when as a kid growing up?
I would describe him as like being mischievous a
Mm-hmm.
little bit. And
Yeah.
he's like a big brother. They're all going to be like mischievous and
Yeah.
little
Yeah.
brats.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
Like to play
also,
tricks on you.
he was,
Like to play tricks on you
yeah,
sometimes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
kid.
I can see
And
that.
right, he was a little mischievous, and also he was really sweet. He's really protective of me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like a long time ago, I was playing in the park, and he was playing football with his friends. And this guy pulled up in this green truck and tried to kidnap me. He was like, do you want to see my
Really?
puppy or whatnot? Yeah. And
Wow.
I was like, I was talking to him, and then David came up. He's like, what's going on? But why is this guy asking you all these questions? Like, I don't know. And he like drove off. So he kind of saved me from being kidnapped and stuff like that. He was
Interesting. Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
yeah.
I could see that about David, because I know David had a fire in him. He also
Oh,
like
he
could.
sure did.
Yeah, yeah. I saw inklings of that sometimes, because we had a conversation once. I remember somebody. It was another kind of thing. It was in your neighborhood. There was a couple of bad dudes that lived around the corner or something, or that were at the park, because I remember that park when
Oh
I was at
yeah.
your all's house, and there was a couple of dudes over there that were kind of they were looking to make some trouble. And
Oh yeah.
I just remember him kind of describing these guys to me, and kind of there's a little bit of a tone change, because David's kind of like, he's just got this kind of light tone. He's always smiling, but I was like, man, I heard some fire in there, and I'm like, here's a guy that because David was a very physically strong individual,
Oh
and
yeah.
and
He
and
was.
he is not somebody that I would ever want to get in an altercation with.
Oh yeah.
So I'm sure that when those dudes in that truck, or that dude in that truck, saw David come up and talking to
Hmm.
you, I'm sure he skedaddled pretty fast, right?
Oh yeah. He
Yeah,
sure
yeah,
did. Yeah,
yeah,
he
yeah,
did.
yeah. So
Even if being a big, even like when he was like a younger kid, he was pretty big for his age. He was tall. You know.
yeah, yeah. He was sorry. He was a big dude, and so now he was protective. Um, some other things about, like, some other things that maybe some things that David did as a kid that he was involved with. We know he loved sports, and he always loved sports. What were some other things that he got, like, in school or in the neighborhood or in the community, that David was involved with, that we could kind of like say, like, wow, I didn't know that about David? What would be one of those things, if anything?
Well, we used to play basketball when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he would take a bunch of his friends and kids from the neighborhood, and we walk up to this school, and we would, they would play like basketball and stuff with the
Mm-hmm.
neighborhood kids and stuff like that. It was pretty
Mm-hmm.
fun. I'd never played basketball, but I used to play in the playground right next door,
Right.
and yeah, and he would always do these throws that were like amazing. He would like
Mm-hmm.
be on the other side of the court, and he would just like make the shot.
Mm-hmm.
And he was pretty good defense. He would like
Mm-hmm.
bust people, you know,
Yeah.
uh, bust people down, because
Yeah.
he was big stature, and
Yeah.
they couldn't make the ball. He
Right.
was good at black on that stuff.
Right. Right. I'm sure David was pretty good in the post with his,
Oh, he
with his,
sure was. Yeah.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's
He
that's
was he was a good basketball player, you know. He
that.
liked to play basketball and football. We used to play football in the streets, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I used
Yep.
to play that too, and you know, we would do tackle football. You know, when we come home with scrapes all over our bodies because you know
Right.
we were roughhousing it, you know, playing
Yep.
football and stuff like that.
That's what we all used to do. We all used to play outside. I mean, that's kind of,
I remember that. Yeah.
we don't see much of that now because we were just
Mm-mm.
talking about that on the last show that I taped. It's like we don't get outside very much anymore, especially with kids.
Mm-mm.
We did as kids because your age and my age, but now it just doesn't happen that much. Tell us,
No.
Jen. Tell us just kind of about family life because family was so important to David. Tell us about just your family life because there's a lot of I know I recognize Kelly and you and your dad, but there's a lot of the family members that I never got to meet, and just kind of describe the family life overall, and of course your mom,
Yeah.
which David has joined now up in heaven, and they're probably sitting here watching our podcast right now,
Yeah, they
and
probably are.
they're probably hanging out, drinking a cup of coffee or a cup of tea or whatever, and just hanging out and watching this. Like, hey, there's Jen and Robert, coming down and watching this. I could just see that. But describe and talk about family life growing up there in the house with the Smith family.
We were very close knit, you know. We were very close a family. Even my sister and her kids, you know, my nephew, my nieces. Um, yeah, we were just a really close knit family. You know, we
Mm-hmm.
would always celebrate holidays together
Yeah.
and eating together and stuff like that. It was always fun, and you know, it was always a big family around, lots of food.
Yeah.
You know, that thing, and yeah, we were my dad and my mom, you know, they loved each other very much, and
Mm-hmm.
you know, me and David saw that growing up, you know, how much they loved each other and stuck
Right.
together, you know. And my brother, you know, and me and my sister, you know, we all got along pretty well, you know, and um
And Kelly's the big
we,
sister. Kelly is
yes,
was
she's the oldest.
she's like 4 years older than David, right?
No, she's actually
Oh, like more like 10,
yeah,
I think.
yeah, she's like
Yeah.
she's there's a big gap. Yeah, like
Mm-hmm.
10 or 15. Yeah, she's a lot older. She's like the manager,
Right.
you know.
Oh, she's the manager. She's the head of the
The
head of the house,
manager, yeah.
the head sibling. Yeah.
The head
So yeah,
sibling, yeah.
I never met Kelly, but I know her from Facebook, and she's just always she seems like a really great person. I never did get to meet her, but talk about now. We'll fast forward to like when we met. Because David had gone through all this stuff, which if anybody wants to look back, the show that David and I did is literally like 4 shows back. It's not that, and it's a lot of people are watching it, and I want to keep it up again to honor him, and so people can see him and people can get to know him and know what he went through, and know what he overcame,
Yes.
because what he did with his life, David's life was extraordinary.
Mhm.
It really was,
Yeah,
and it
exactly.
still is. It will live to be extraordinary,
Mhm.
ongoing in through time.
Right.
And he did extraordinary things, and that's one of the reasons I want to honor him for that, because of all the lives he touched and the extraordinary things that he
Oh yeah.
accomplished and he did. But just again, who he was and who he is. But before I ask you this question, I want to think about, like, I want to ask you. People saw that the guy struggled with his weight.
Mhm.
He lost the weight, then he gained it back, lost it again. He went back and forth a lot. If you were going to
Right.
describe David, you, Jen, as his sister, if you were going to describe David in a paragraph or in a few words, aside from his struggle, how would you describe him? Who was he?
Besides from his struggle, I would think I would say that he was a enigma, to
Mm-hmm.
and an inspiration to so many people that I didn't even realize.
Mm-hmm.
And he's an inspiration to me as well,
Right. Right.
um, because he's touched so many people's lives and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. I wish I was more like that, touching people's lives and being there for people and stuff like that. But he has a big heart,
Yeah.
and he
Yeah. He
he
does.
loves
And
so much.
yeah.
Yeah,
And that came from who he was as this person. Like I was saying at the beginning,
exactly.
he was a good soul. He was full of good.
He
And
was.
even when he was protecting you, that guy
Mhm.
at the truck, that was about good. That was about protecting you.
Yes,
And
exactly.
like I said, I know that family was really, really, really kind of number one to him. And he was also a big animal lover.
Oh yeah, he loved his animals. He loved his dogs and
Mm-hmm.
cats and everything. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The
Mhm.
picture on the that you used for the obituary there was got that little puppy, right? Or is
Yeah.
it a little? No, it's a little kitty.
It was a little kitten.
Little
Yeah.
kitten.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I can because
Yeah.
I can remember being in your house. There was one of your dogs was like a pit bull or something. It was a bigger dog, and that dog was it was a big dog. Or,
Yeah, he was a big dog. He's a really muscular dog.
yes. Yes. Exactly.
He's
The
a
dog
big
was
black dog,
buffed.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That dog was no stranger to the gym there. That
right. It's like he went to the gym. Yeah.
yeah. So, well, listen. I mean, again, today is about honoring him, and I
Yes.
don't want to forget to mention that as we move forward too, because I want to ask you, just what was going on in your mind when we first met. But I, at the beginning of our relationship and how we got to know each other, Jen, was through in January of 2020. We were all on the Dr. Phil show together, and
Yep.
that's the day we met. I want to ask you that day of that first taping, that particular taping, what was going on in your mind that day? What was going through your mind with that whole experience that day?
I was just like, in awe on it. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, I'm actually being gonna be on a show and stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yep. Yep.
And I just was amazed by, the backstage aspect of it. I thought
Right.
that was pretty cool. And they
Right.
got the makeup rooms and the big,
Mm-hmm.
wardrobes and stuff like that. I was like,
Yep.
wow, I
Yep.
didn't know all this consisted of in the show.
Right, right. You see it on TV and you go like, well, you see the stage and you see the audience and you see that,
Mhm.
that speaker system that comes out before Dr. Phil comes out on the stage. And,
Mhm.
like you said, that, backstage and some of the dressing rooms and stuff, it's pretty amazing and it's pretty big. And,
Yeah.
and so, so,
Uh-huh.
so it was kind of like your feeling was more like, wow, this is exciting. This is really cool.
Exactly. Yeah. I was
Yeah.
like, wow.
Yeah. No,
My brother's taking me places.
yeah, exactly. And you guys drove that day. You drove in the car to get there, right?
Oh
You guys
yeah.
did like that
Mhm.
8-hour drive from Phoenix to LA.
Oh
Because I can
yeah. Mhm.
I can remember that some of the video of stuff of, when you guys were on the way there was a couple shots that were taken for the video segments. So yeah, that was great. And I will remember that day forever. And it kind of seems like yesterday, really.
It
As
does. Yeah.
we go through this, we're going to probably put in some of the pictures. We'll probably put that backstage picture in there because there's pictures of us. There's at least three pictures. There's one when we're walking, and there's one of all of us when we're in your house in your living room there
Yeah.
that
Uh-huh.
in Gilbert, and then there's also the one of all three of us backstage. So we'll probably put either one or all three of those in throughout this podcast and the broadcast. But yeah, that day was a really big day, and it started something really cool. It was a day that I got to meet you guys, and I got to work with you, and had the opportunity to work with you, and I had so many great things about my experience through Dr. Phil, and this was really one of the highlights of it. It was one of the greatest things, and I'll remember this too. I got to mention before I forget to say this is there was I remember watching David walk out to the stage for the show,
Oh,
and
yeah.
he walked up, and he actually walked up under his own power, and he sat down in the chair and he sat next to Dr. Phil. Now I'm in the front row there, kind of in what they call the expert thing, where they, like the front row if he goes to somebody. And then I eventually went up on the stage at the end of the show when they weighed David in, and we did all that. But I can remember saying this to him, and that's the first thing I said when Dr. Phil went to me. I said, dude, you walked up on that stage under your own power.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't need a chair or a cart or a walker or whatever, or a
Oh
cane or
yeah.
whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Dude walked right up on stage and like with a bounce in his step. And it was like,
Oh yeah.
holy moly, this dude is strong. And that's the first thing that I remember saying on camera. Is like, I remember I could see it in my face. You just walked up on that stage under your own power.
Yeah.
I couldn't carry that weight up there.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and I realized the day that just the physical power
Oh
David
yeah. That's
David
amazing
had
how much he weighed and how much he was able to still walk,
to move, and his mobility,
Yeah, move. Mm-hmm.
and that's one of the things that, as David got, as the year went on and then into 2021, when David started to get more sick, and his health started to go down a little bit, and he started to lose some of that mobility, which was really, man, I just felt for him so much, because I know part of it was some of the paralysis from the sacrum, from the bed sores that he had.
Oh
Some
yeah.
of it was
Mm-hmm.
from the medication. So I mean, there was just so many factors, and we went over all that in the other podcast that we did on here, and if anybody wants to go back and listen to that, because David and I remember when we agreed to do the show, I said, David, let's talk about everything, man. Let's bring it from the bare beginning all the way up to present time. And we did. So anybody that wants to review and go back to that, you can find out all about some real specific details of some of the things that he did struggle with. And he did struggle. But again, I want to emphasize, I want to honor him today as David, not the person that struggled, but David, the person that thrived and just was a really great guy and a great loving guy. And that's what I want to take. That's what I want people to take away from this today, is directly from Jen's sister, and as a representative for the family, David Sr., Kelly, and everybody that you've listed on the obituary, who he was, and to honor him for just the beautiful person that he was. Now, before I forget to mention this too, I want to shout out to Jesse Saperstein, because Jesse is the one that actually wrote the letter to Dr. Phil and got David on the show. You remember that, Jen?
Oh yeah. He's a kind soul as well.
Yeah.
He's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. He did. That was a great thing that he did. And Jesse got to be, he got to be on the stage at the end of the show. And I remember this too. It's like Jesse went up on the stage. He took his leg, and he just like climbed up on that stage. He didn't even use a step. He just climbed up, and and I'm appreciative of Jesse, that that I got to meet you all through the connection that he made. So shout out to Jesse. Now, as we close here, Jen, first of all, wow, I don't quite know what to say to culminate this. We said goodbye to David, but he's always going to be part of us.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just want everybody again to take today, and as you watch this and whatever you see out there, and post, because I think he's probably got some of his. Does he still have his Facebook up? Does he still have that up?
Yeah, he does. Yeah.
Okay, so when you see anything, or you see anything about David, because there's lots of footage over the years from way back in 2008 all the way up to present that you see. When you see anything, from David, just again, you see what he did with his struggles, but I want you to really think about everybody that watches him and continues to watch him. Think about who he was as a person, because at the end of the day, that's what I want people to remember from this, and that's why we're honoring him today. And I want to honor your dad and you and Kelly and like everybody else in your family, because you guys are really amazing people, And I'm so grateful that I got to know you all.
Same
My
here.
life,
Same here.
yeah, and my life has changed because of David. He was like you said, Jen, he was an inspiration. And so as we close this today, um, God, I know that you're up there and he's probably sitting right next to you, up there with your mom. And I think you said your grandparents too. Because you mentioned something about he saw his before he passed that day. He said something about seeing his grandparents, like they literally like came in the room with him spiritually.
Yeah, it was the fir- it was like a couple months before he died. He almost had sepsis again.
Right,
And
right.
yeah, so he fell into like a coma, but when you were trying to revive him or something,
Mm-hmm.
he saw my great grandma and my grandma. They were in
Mm-hmm.
the room with him, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I believe they were trying to call him home, you
Yeah,
know.
yeah. That's real. I mean, that's absolutely real. That kind of thing, that kind of spiritual reality is real. And again, his strength to hold on with everything that he was going through as long as he did, and your all strength as a family, because
Yeah.
I mean, would it be safe to say that you all even became? I mean, you were already really close, but you came together and became closer because of his life as well and what he was going through.
Right.
What are you going to miss most about him, Jen?
I'm just gonna miss him being there,
Yeah.
talking with him, hugging him, watching TV with him, him sending us funny videos, you know.
Hmm.
He would spam our inboxes
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
funny TikTok videos or
Right.
whatnot,
Right.
you know.
He liked his video games. He
Oh
was
yeah, he did.
that kept him going. I think I was always so glad that he had those because it gave him
Oh
something
yeah,
to do when he was
exactly.
in the facilities, he was in the hospital. And the
Mhm.
other and one more thing before I read this part of of the obituary that you wrote, Jen, is I want to make sure that everybody knows that through all those struggles that he had and all the pain and all the sickness that he went through, he never lost that. I would literally I can hear him. I can hear his laugh right now. He always had that like he would say something and then he would start that laugh. He would do that David laugh. It was like
Yeah.
he said he was what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And
I do.
he literally through the darkest of times he never lost that laugh, which
No, he never
just
did.
it just emulated the goodness within him. So my
Exactly.
love to you and my love to your dad and my love to Kelly, because you guys are the ones that I or know I'm in touch with, and I'm gonna try to read this, Jen. This is an obituary that you wrote that's online right now that people have access to, and it's a wonderful obituary that kind of emulates and talks about some of the stuff that we have talked about today, with all the people and kind of what David liked and who he was and what he was all about. But there's a couple paragraphs here that I want to read, and like I said, if I have to stop and come back in, y'all will understand why. And this was written by you, Jen, which again you did an amazing job, and
Thank you.
this was written from the heart, from absolute sure. And David, I want you and your mom to hear this too. David's life was hard, but it was real. He laughed loud, loved big, and never pretended to be something that he wasn't. He fell, he got back up, and he kept going. He had a soul that surpassed the body, one that reached beyond his struggles, carried him further than flesh could, and lives on in all who loved him. Now David is at peace in heaven, reunited with our mother, Cheryl Lynn Smith, our grandparents, John, Betty, and Cecil, and other ones who went before him. In his final illness, David said that his great-grandmother and Grandma Joyce were by his bedside. We believe they returned to guide him home. Until we meet again, your wings were ready. I'll say that again. Your wings were ready, but our hearts were not. So again, if you want, anybody that watching or listening, if you want to go in online and read this, read the whole thing, it's pretty amazing. But Jen, thank you for writing that. And thank you for coming on today. Again, thank you, David, for coming into our lives. You're always going to be part of our lives.
And thank you for honoring him.
Yeah. That's the way it should be.
Yes.
That's absolutely the way it should be, because I know he would do the same for me.
Oh, yes, most definitely. Mm-hmm.
So.
He loved you like a brother.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He was bro. So anyway, thank you all for tuning in today. And again, the RR Live Wellness Unfiltered podcast. And God bless everybody. Thank you.
God bless. Thank you.
Hey, everybody. Thanks again for tuning in to the RR Live Wellness Unfiltered podcast. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to the show. And don't forget the Revive and Sustain Wellness app. Go to www.reviveandsustain.com and download the app. 42 years of my experience at your fingertips. Till next time, everybody, in great health.